Good evening, Mr. Mendoza. Today, my partner Xenia Sánchez and me, Victor Dominguez, are going to talk about Shakespeare story called Cymbelline. The first is the introduction. Shakespeare is a renowned literary figure. His works continue to captivate audiences worldwide with their timeless themes and profound insight into the human condition. His legacy spans centuries, transcending cultural and linguistic barriers, positioning him as one of the most influential play, playwrights and poets in history.
William Shakespeare, born in Stratford-upon-Avon in May 26 in the year 1564. He was a playwright, actor, and poet. Sometimes known as the Bard of Avon, he was considered the most famous or the most important um, writer in the English language and one of the most famous in the world literature. Shakespeare composed tragedies from the very beginning of his career, and one of the earliest um, were the Roman tragedy Titus Andronicus, followed by Romeo and Juliet. The most acclaimed were Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, and Antony and Cressida. The lesser known were Timon of Athens, and Troilus and Cressida.
Cymbelline was written in the last period of William Shakespeare, believed to be around 1610. While the character is based on the Breton tribal chief Covelinus, the story is heavily influenced by Boccaccio's The Cameron and Holinshed's chronicles. Now I'm going to explain those characters. Cymbelline is king of Britain. Imogen is daughter of Cymbelline and wife of Leonato. Leonato Posthumus is a knight welcomed by Cymbelline as a child. The queen is Imogen's stepmother. Cloten, son of the queen and half-brother of Imogen. Belarius, a knight banished by Cymbelline and who kidnapped his sons in revenge. He calls himself Morgan. Guiderio and Arvillarago, the children kidnapped from Cymbelline by Belarius, whom they believe to be their father, and they are called Polidoro and Catwalk. Filario Leonato's Italian friend. Lascimo, Italian, who questions Imogen's honor and bests with Leonato. Gaius Lucius, general of the Roman troops. Pisanio Leonatus, servant. Cornelius Court, physician of Britain. Now I'm going to explain the plot. The first is the exposition or the initial situation. You know what they say about evil stepmothers? Imogen's evil stepmother pretends to be her friend and a calm counselor to the king, when she is really whipping up potions and planning their murders behind their backs, or people too, at least. The queen desperately wants her son Cloten to marry Imogen and become king of Britain. Imogen's new hubby Posthumus is banished along with her hopes and dreams for a happy life. The lovebirds give each other tokens, a bracelet for her and a ring for him, and promise to keep them forever. Now the rising action. Rising action or conflict complication. The challenge accepted Posthumus beats Lashimo that he won't be able to score with his honey, but he didn't know that Lashimo would lie, cheat, and steal to get the job done. Imogen proves her faithfulness, but Lashimo takes her precious bracelet and a gander at things that aren't his.
In the climax, Posthumus believes Imogen is a big fat cheater and orders to Pisanio kill her. She dresses as a boy named Fidel and flees off to Wales to find a ride to Rome. Meanwhile, Clothen tries out to Wales as well in hopes to kill Posthumus and taking Imogen for himself, and whether she likes or not. In the following action, Imogen has made some new friends in Wales, um, but she doesn't know that Githerius and Albiragus are her long lost kidnapped brothers. And then she takes a medicine from the queen, but it is actually a poison, and she died. But only briefly, because she wakes up again um, after. But it is long for her new friends to mourn her. The good news is they have managed to kill Cloten when when he happened upon them while hunting. Meanwhile, Rome is invading Britain for some of the Queen's gutsy decisions. In the resolution, Britain defeats Rome thanks to Giderius, Arviragus, Bellarius, and Postumus. After they are knighted or released from prison, it is a whirlwind of family reunions as Fidel reveals herself as Imogen, and then Iachimo comes clear about his lies and apologies. Then Bellarius faces up to kidnapping to Giderius and Arviragus earlier. And the end, Cymbelline and his family are together again at last. The themes. Uh, One of the themes of the story Cymbelline is the morality and loyalty. Cymbelline is a moral play that prizes the good intention and punishes the cruelty. For example, the evil queen fails in her plots and then died. but the loyal and moral princess is allowed to marry her true love. Conflict and tragedy. What is the primary conflict within the story? Well, in Shakespeare Rome, the duality of the hero appears in relation to the canon of Roman culture, affectionate kindness on one hand and warlike prowess and valor on the other. According to this canon, a man is honorable when can relate both attributes. The protagonist's conflict lies in not knowing how to relate both virtues, which remain separate until the end. But how these conflicts contribute to the tragic outcome? Well, the tragedy emerges after the fermentation of the hero, who, when deceived by some individual, betrays himself and distorts his own nature. Later, when he realizes his mistakes and the damage he has caused, the hero goes through a phase of self-conquest, although this movement is achieved through his self-destruction. The significance of the tragedy in the context of literature. Shakespeare usually describes a protagonist who falls from the wisdom of grace and of the rest of the protagonist's body. It has been suggested that the playwright's spin on genre is the polar opposite of the comedy, exemplifies the sense that human beings are inevitably unhappy because of their own mistakes or the tragic or ironically tragic exercise of their virtues or through the natural fate or the condition of man to fall, to suffer, fall, and die. In other words, it is a representation with a necessarily unhappy ending.
Thanks to pay attention to this story.